We're live.
Okay, so we're starting and we are about to play the video. Mr. Johnny,
Okay, let me start.
thank you.
Welcome to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting. When the meeting begins momentarily, the chair will take a roll call, explain any specific rules for this particular board, and then move to public comment. The name of the board member will appear on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. For instance, this is board member Y, and this is board member E. Public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. You can indicate that you are ready to testify by clicking on the Raise Hand button being circled by the mouse on your screen now. At the appropriate time, the board will recognize you to speak and ask you to unmute your mic as shown here. Again, public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. Public attendees will not be able to unmute their microphone until recognized by the board. Public attendees who are recognized to testify will be asked to identify themselves by name and their affiliated organization if applicable. Please mute your microphone when you are finished speaking as a courtesy to others and members of the board. Public attendees will not be able to unmute themselves after the testimony is completed unless recognized again after raising their hand. At some point during the meeting, the board may choose to move into executive session. When the board moves into executive session, the board members' microphones and video feeds will be turned off, and a similar screen as you see now will be displayed. When the board returns from executive session, their microphones will be turned on as well as their video cameras. Welcome again to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting. At this time, the chair will call the meeting to order and take a roll call, as well as explain any additional rules that may be specific to this board.
He's muted. John, we can hear you.
I'm sorry. Let me start all over. I muted myself. Okay, to view the meeting and provide live oral testimony, please use the link at the top of the agenda. You will be asked to enter your name. The board requests that you enter your full name, but you may use a pseudonym or other identifier if you wish to remain anonymous. You will also ask for an email address. You may fill in this field by any entry in the email format, **@mail.com. Your microphone will be automatically muted. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may click the raise hand button found on your Zoom screen to indicate that you wish to testify about that agenda item. The chairperson will individually enable each testifier to unmute their microphone. When recognized by the chairperson, please unmute your microphone before speaking and mute your microphone after you finish speaking. Phone access. If you cannot get internet access, you may get audio only access by calling the Zoom phone number listed at the top of the agenda. Upon dialing the number, you will be prompted to enter the meeting ID, which is also listed at the top of the agenda. After entering the meeting ID, you will be asked to either enter your panelist number or wait to be admitted into the meeting. You will not have a panelist number, so please wait until you are admitted into the meeting. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may indicate you want to testify by entering * and then 9 on your phone keypad. After entering * and then 9, a voice prompt will let you know that your host of the meeting has been notified. When recognized by the chairperson, you may unmute yourself by pressing * and then 6 on your phone. A voice prompt will let you know that you are unmuted. Once you are finished speaking, please enter asterisk and then 6 again to mute yourself. For both internet and phone access, when testifying, you will be asked to identify yourself and the organization, if any, that you represent. Each testifier will be limited to 5 minutes of testimony per agenda item. If connection to the meeting is lost for more than 30 minutes, the meeting will be continued on a specified date and time. The information will be provided on the board's website at cca.hawaii.gov/pvl/boards/motor vehicle/meeting schedule /. Instruction to attend the State of Hawaii virtual board meeting may be found online at cca.hawaii.gov/pvl/files/2020/08/State of Hawaii virtual board attendee instructions.pdf. So at this time, I would like to call the meeting to order, and I would like to take a roll call. John Caudell, Wayne DeLuz,
Here.
Carlton Williams.
Also here.
I'll just say my word. I mean by name, Nicholas Ching, not present, I don't believe. Kenneth Obensky,
He's not here.
not here, and John, myself, Uekawa, on Zoom. So quorum has been met, and we call the meeting to order at 1:20. So, I guess approval of the open session minutes on October 9th, 2024. Are we tabling that, Hector?
Yes, we're deferring it for the next meeting.
Okay. So we'll move on. To number 3. Adjudicatory matters.
There's
House
nothing on
Bill-
that one.
Excuse me?
There's nothing on that.
Yeah, okay. Nobody is attending to give testimony?
Thank you, Chair. This is Johnny. We do not have anyone requesting to provide testimony.
Okay. So do we have to go into executive session at this time?
We will, the next agenda is going to be the executive, the bill. If the members wanted to discuss a specific one, you can.
John, are you asking if you need to go to exec for the adjudicatory?
Yes.
No, because adjudicatory, the board usually just recesses, but Hector said that they don't have any settlement agreement.
Okay.
So there's none. So go on to the
Motor vehicle salesperson?
executive officer's report on HB 938.
Okay. So executive officer on report on
There is a bill called HB number 938, a bill for an act relating to the Motor Vehicle Industry Licensing Act. And I did receive an email today that there will be a hearing on Thursday. So today, I have to provide whether the board is for, opposes, or whatever comments the board would have on this bill. And again, I have to submit my testimony by the end of the day today because the hearing is Thursday. So the board has to decide whether they oppose, they are for it, or whatever the comments they may have in between.
Just for new car dealers. Okay.
it looks like it's for, yeah, it's basically what it is it authorizes the manufacturers and distributors to sell directly to consumers items that are activated or installed through remote electronic transmission. It clarifies the applicability of the motor vehicle licensing, the Motor Vehicle Industry Licensing Act to common entities. It amends the ground for denying, suspending, revoking, or otherwise taking adverse action on a licensee. It prohibits a manufacturer or distributor from requiring a dealer to purchase or lease any electric vehicle charging station at the dealer's expense unless provided notice of intent to sell the manufacturer's or distributor's electric vehicles. It clarifies the conditions for the transfer of a franchise. It also clarifies the requirement for reimbursing a dealer for parts and labor. That's basically it.
Okay, so when,
Manufacturer reimbursement.
do you folks understand this bill? Because when I read it, I didn't quite understand it, like how the manufacturer, how, I guess the mechanics of how the manufacturer is gonna sell things directly to the customer. Because usually the customer buys things from the dealer, right? Things that are in your car. So I guess I don't know what you call them, like features that are in your car already installed but not turned on. I mean, when you buy it, usually you would pay for it at the dealership, and then they would turn on whatever features you buy. If I'm, is that correct?
Yeah, Candice, that's a good example on that is like OnStar, you know, with General Motors.
Yeah.
Um, so they offer several services. A lot of them will offer like the ability to notify if you get into an accident, they can notify 911 automatically, as well as some of them have advanced features for navigation. The more common one is really they supply like 5G networking, you know, for a lot of them have onboard what I call basically iPads, you know, so it gives you connectivity, um, as well as some other features in the car. Some of them may even be like we don't get it here, but like satellite radio, you know, like Pandora, um, and those types of stations are you can pay it through them or you can buy it, you know, through your phone. But it gives it more connectivity. So some of them will offer, the manufacturers will offer for a short period of anywhere from a year to 3 years at no fee. But after that, you would pay to subscribe to it. And maybe that's a better definition, is it becomes a subscription.
Sorry. So at the point where it becomes a subscription, is that where you would pay directly to the manufacturer?
Yes, that is correct. You would sign up on the, actually on the, in the car, they'll come to a screen that you can subscribe. So kind of like, almost like cable TV, you know, if you want to subscribe to this channel, and then they would set up a payment schedule. I mean, a payment arrangement, yeah.
Okay. So that's A, B, and C. Okay,
Yeah,
so
what it does is, sorry, go ahead, Candice, I'm sorry.
what is the financial or quarterly statement of revenue requirement that the is required to be provided to the dealers?
What it is it's a revenue sharing product. So Right now, a lot of the manufacturers um, will share with the dealers as long as it's in mandated by law. And that's the thrust of this part of the bill, is that it would be revenue sharing with the manufacturer, and the manufacturer would supply a statement of subscriptions that they receive, because they don't share that data with the dealers.
So what does that have to do? I mean, how does that involve the board? I mean, because that's something that they're gonna do between themselves.
No, they won't do it unless it's mandated by law in the state. It is not an agreement that they offer with the franchise agreement.
So Christopher, is that something that belongs in the licensing chapter?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Because they're putting it in the licensing chapter so that they can get a share of the revenue that the manufacturer makes when people pay subscriptions to the manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it is, Chris, is that the manufacturers do not address this issue in the franchise agreements. Just
Okay.
like some of the clarification we have with parts reimbursement and labor reimbursement, it's kind of a gray area. And states that have dealers that have got it put into legislation, meaning that you have to share in the revenue, is the only time the manufacturer will do that, if it's mandated by law.
Mm-hmm.
And is it in the licensing law or?
It is in their licensing law, Candace.
John, can a member of the public make a comment?
Sure.
I'm Eric Soderholm Sales and Leasing, member of the HADA organization. John, who sponsored this law? Is this a HADA sponsored law, or who were the representatives who sponsored it?
I believe it is HADA.
Melissa's trying to get in, so.
Yeah, Melissa wants to provide some information, I guess, for clarification.
You mean to put her in, Hector? Okay, I'm gonna make her.
Aloha, this is Melissa Pavlicek, and I wanted to offer some testimony on this agenda item and be available for questions. Is now a good time to share a little bit about this?
Yes.
I know. Sounds like there's
Sorry,
some
I was
questions.
on
Thank
mute.
you.
Yes.
Thank you. So I serve as the executive director for the Hawaii Automobile Dealers Association. My understanding is that the state franchise laws, which governs the relationship between manufacturers and dealers in the state, has been updated a number of times going back to 2009, 2017. And there was a request from the Hawaii Automobile Dealers Association to make a few changes, which the legislators drafted. And so we plan to support this measure when it's heard, and to request some changes. It wasn't quite finished or configured the way that we have since worked on and are hoping to see. So we anticipate that this might go through several additional changes. To the points that were discussed earlier, I'd be glad to address them. But what I really wanted to say is this initial bill is really intended to ensure that the manufacturer and dealer law in Hawaii remains strong as things have changed over time, and that we are doing a housekeeping measure to refresh it And so it does seem quite long in the bill because many of the provisions are repeated without making any change to it. So we will be sharing with the board our testimony once we have finished it. And if the board would consider either weighing in to say it's being reviewed or they will be taking additional information from the public at a future meeting, I think that would be a good recommendation coming from HADA to the Motor Vehicle Licensing Board. Anyway, I'm available if you wanted to ask me any questions later, or if there's another appropriate format, but I would be glad to submit to the board a copy of our testimony. And as I said, HADA will be in support of this measure.
Melissa, this is Carl Williams. Are these changes consistent with what is done in the rest of the country?
Yes, each of these changes has at least several states, if not one of the requested changes has at least 24 other states that have provisions like this. So whether it was making sure that manufacturers did not disregard a person who was entitled to inherit a dealership, or to make sure that we have a reasonableness standard when electric vehicle charging stations are mandated. These are provisions that were drafted based on other states' laws, and HADA is recommending that Hawaii adopt them to make sure that our franchise law remains good and strong for the benefit of consumers.
Listen, this is Eric Soderholm. Could you just give me the highlights of the bill? Just what are the main points so I understand it all?
Yes, so there are some definitions about a common entity. These apply to situations where there is a manufacturer and a dealer, to clarify that the dealer relationship does mean something under Hawaii law, and it's not that a manufacturer who has a dealer can behave as a dealer. The second one is to make sure that these successor dealer operator changes are operating and there are not requirements beyond what's in the franchise law imposed after the fact. One of the ones you were speaking to was the over-the-air subscriptions. So the intent of the revision would be to make sure that customers are allowed to purchase the over-the-air subscriptions and with the help of dealers, and they have access to local dealers to make sure that, again, these are the purposes of our franchise laws, to make sure that consumers have local people that they can go to, and they're not forced to only purchase the over-the-air subscriptions from the manufacturers. There is a warranty and recall reimbursement provision that we are attempting to clarify some of the reimbursement provisions. And finally, the EV charging, as I said, to impose a reasonableness standard. So as you may know, many dealerships are located in areas in Hawaii where, because our electric utility and infrastructure is aging, no matter what they're required to do under their franchise law, it's impossible to get approval from HECO or HELCO or wherever you are because of our aging infrastructure. So you can't comply with the requirements in a franchise agreement if it is impossible because of our aging infrastructure. So we just want to have this reasonableness standard. So as I said, this current version of the bill isn't exactly as HADA would have necessarily written it or requested, but still in all, we support the concepts in here, and we will be hopefully working with legislators to make sure that there's clarity and that these are all provisions based on successful implementation of provisions in other states.
Okay, so can I just just for my understanding, so this bill, you're still working on it to make clarifications because, the
I
intent,
will be requesting.
yeah. Okay, so because the intent that you just stated, I don't read that in the bill because I guess, like you said, that it's not exactly how you wanted it. So after you come work with the legislators or to get what you really intended in the bill, is that what you're intending to do for the next go around?
Yes, we're intending to support this measure, to offer some comments, request some amendments, and really work outside of the legislative process to gather the stakeholders so that we can get consensus and make sure that all of the testifiers are sharing as much, commonality as possible. So that's what we'll be seeking to do. And if the board would consider either letting the legislators know that you are also monitoring it and will be, receiving more information and testimony. I would be glad to share with you, and I'm sure you'll see other testimonies in the record once we have our first hearing.
Okay, so this is like after the fact, but it would have been good if like we had started this before the session had started, so that we'd be on the same page when it was introduced, but that's here nor there. But yeah, because what you just said about the over-the-air subscriptions is not what I read in the statute, in the proposed bill. And the other thing is I had some concerns about the common entity because you're actually for amending the definition of manufacturer to include a common entity. So generally in our licensing scheme, we will license the manufacturer and only the manufacturer can act as the licensee. And so when I read that part of the bill, it kind of sounds like the common entities will also be able to act as a licensee. So maybe if that's not what it's meant to be, then I think that should be clarified.
Thank you for
Because
bringing that up. And if we aren't able to recommend that in our current testimony, I will definitely work to make sure that legislators understand what the intent was and to share, and I'm sure you'll want to share your own viewpoint, but thank you for sharing it with me here, and really want to be collaborative, and I apologize for not getting something in front of this board sooner. As you know, we are running hard to try to catch up
I
to
know,
where the legislators' introduction was.
I know, we all are. Okay, so I haven't, to be honest, like I don't know the nitty gritty of your bill, but the other section that I had some questions on were the successor dealer. Should that part be in the franchise law? Should that be in the motor vehicle licensing law? And then the other thing is, it says upon the death of the dealer. So that would only apply if the dealer was a sole proprietor, right? Because usually dealers are corporations or LLCs. So that part needs to be clarified. Because it says if the
Okay.
dealer dies.
Mhm.
So unless the dealer is a sole proprietor, then that, that wouldn't be apply.
You're bringing up some excellent points, which I will make sure that we consider when we're drafting our testimony. Thank you.
No, wait, can I clarify that, Melissa, for Canvas? The dealer can be structured as a corporation, the business is, but the manufacturers still require an individual to be at least a dealer operator. So when you're talking about succession, it is a person, not a corporation.
So that should be clarified right in the language. So if it's the principal operator or dealer operator, it should say that instead of dealer, because dealer is defined in your statute as is not as well, it could be a person because the dealer could be a sole proprietor.
Yeah, clarification is, I think, on the definition of that is, I think to clarify it is dealer/dealer operator. The manufacturer requires whoever holds the franchise that person has to be qualified. So it even applies to the larger corporations like Lithia. They have to have a dealer operator that the manufacturer, and the reason they do that is they want to talk to one person. Yeah, who is responsible for that dealership, you know. So if it's not clarified in the statutes, then that needs, you are correct, needs to be defined.
So I'm not sure, Christopher, if that should be in the licensing law, because we don't license the principal operator or principal person dealer of the dealership. We just license the dealer. We don't have any requirements for, we don't license the principal operator, and then we're putting like requirements in here for them.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that is always an option if it's, you know, not directly involved to the, you know, not directly concerning the licensing aspect, then, you know, it could be placed somewhere else.
Because if we put it in here and we don't license them, what is the,
There's no, I guess, relation.
yeah. Okay, so sorry, I didn't get to read like the details of everything else, but those are the things that kind of popped out at me. So knowing that you're gonna come up with another draft that's gonna actually clarify, you know, what you really wanted in there. I mean, I think we can weigh in then, but I don't know how, Christopher, like how much the board should testify on, like regarding like whether the dealer representative, sorry, I forgot what it's called.
Well,
The principal dealer should be in the licensing law.
yeah, I mean, generally, you know, the board or anybody, right? Any testifier, you know, I think the legislature would appreciate testimony, you know, on the bill as it exists, and if there are recommendations to, you know, change language, add language, clarify things, you know, you could put whatever in that is appropriate to the bill that's before us now. You know, even if it's going to be changed later, you know, we don't know how it's going to be changed. You know, if some of the things that Melissa was talking about are going to be put in the bill, we're not going to know that until another version of the bill comes out, right? So what you're looking at is the bill that's in front of you.
I just noticed we don't have legislative liaison appointments on our agenda.
Yeah.
Can we add that?
I think that would be fine because it's would be sort of an administrative matter.
Okay.
So I would say okay.
Okay. So after we discuss this, then we'll add that to the agenda and then get volunteers to be the legislative liaison that Hector can talk with regarding testimony and things like that.
Okay.
Is there, okay, so any other comments on the bill?
I have one comment. John Caudell.
Mm-hmm.
They mentioned in here that they're going to conduct a review. This is on page 60. They'll conduct a review of the cost of repairs of motor vehicles, including the prices charged by dealers for performing repairs under warranty and repairs not under warranty, and compare such cost repairs performed by non-dealers. So I don't know what the intent of that is. Because it's always going to cost more for a dealer to repair vehicles because they have more overhead and they charge more per hour usually in an independent shop. So I don't know if they're shopping around, and plus independent shops can't do factory warranty repairs. So I don't know why they threw that in. I think that shouldn't be in there. Just my opinion.
Maybe Melissa can speak to that.
Again, I think the concepts that HADA was requesting to ensure are clear and our state law might not have been exactly how the legislative drafters implemented it in this current version, and we are looking at it more closely to make recommendations to make it clear. But the intent of this was to ensure that dealers are adequately compensated for things that might not be clear in this law as it stands. So if it doesn't quite do that, we'll be raising that in our testimony and asking for an amendment, I guess is what I wanted to say.
I was just afraid it might burden franchise dealers and other dealers to be reviewed by the motor, it said it's the review gonna be, I don't know who's gonna conduct the review, but it just seems like more regulation unnecessary.
Well, currently, John, they do it that way for the reason the genesis of the whole concept is just that we would just have one rate, whether it's retail or warranty. The manufacturers discount the rate to the dealers when they do warranty.
So the intent is to make it better?
Well, we just want it to be equal. So, what they say is, and when you say a review, John, they'll have you call each dealer to see what their labor rate is. So they'll only pay you the average of what dealers charge in the marketplace per se. But, you know, if you're a highline dealer like BMW or Mercedes, right? You know, you're not going to be charging what some other dealers may be charging, you. So we're just trying to equalize the rate to be the same for.
I think I misunderstood the intent of that. I didn't realize it was manufacturers are going to conduct a review. I thought maybe a state agency was conducting a review, or the state.
No, and that's a good question. This allows them to only look at what it basically means when they say review is they typically ask for you to send them copies of your retail repair orders and what you're charging your retail customer. Yeah.
I see.
So
Okay.
I'm sorry, John, what page and what line is that?
Page 60 starts with line 1 and it goes to line 6.
Okay, so that's already in the statute, including the prices. So, Wayne, you're saying that when you say conduct a review, the manufacturer calls the dealer? Sorry.
No, and that's a good question because it's what would usually the dealer will ask for an increase, Candice, and then they send you a form. The manufacturer will send you a form that you have to fill out and show this comparison. What they're trying to do is actually streamline the process by saying that you just look at my retail repair orders, this is what I'm charging, and I have proof, you know, and usually they'll want like maybe about 40 repair orders or so, you know. Now currently it's a 3-step process with them. And they do that to stall the process. And then they want to average what is being paid in your area among dealers versus just that dealer, which is really unfair to a lot of our highline dealers, Mercedes, BMW, who require a lot more training, dealing with a lot more expensive repairs in the sense of, you know, they have to buy a lot of tooling just to keep up with what the manufacturers are requesting us to do. So it's just streamlining the process from up to 3 different steps just down to 1.
Just when I saw it on page 59 in that line 20, it says for the purposes of this section, the Director of Commerce and Consumer Affairs shall, and it has a colon. And then it goes into conduct a review. So it sounded like the Commerce and Consumer Affairs were conducting the review rather than the manufacturer.
Sorry, I missed that. It's not sounding like that means that the director has to do it.
Yeah, it'd be your job. Yeah, Hector's.
Melissa Cora Williams again. Can you restate what your suggestion to this board is?
I think the
Well, as far as the
legislature would
legislature.
appreciate knowing that you are reviewing and monitoring and receiving information from the community, including HADA and others, you know, at your board meetings, and are available as an expert on the portions of the law that you oversee. And so rather than necessarily taking a stance on any particular provision, because as I mentioned, we will be asking for some amendments, or weighing in now and saying there are things that you might recommend be in different sections of the law. Either way, but I think just getting on record to say that you're aware of this bill and monitoring it and serving as a resource would be an excellent approach.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think right now it's hard for the board to have a position because we don't really understand. And granted, like you said, that this is really not the ultimate product that you had hoped for. Okay. I guess we could start with some of those concerns that we have, and then I don't know, we'll continue to monitor. I don't know, Christopher. What yeah, I mean, I think basically we need to understand what this bill is trying to accomplish, and then we can state the concerns that we have. Christopher?
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. How about the board? Any comments? Is that okay with you?
Yes.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Me too.
Do I turn it back to you, Hector?
So as far as, do we take a position as a board? Do you guys want to take a position as a board? Oppose, for?
Comments?
Are you guys for it? Or oppose the bill as it is now? Because, as Melissa mentioned, this is not what she wanted anyway to begin with. So if you guys wanted to,
I like the intent of it.
you want,
I like the intent. I just, a couple of things in there I had concerns about, that was all.
So comments and then
I don't know,
express.
Candice, I would ask for maybe a continuance since it's still a work in process, maybe.
You want to defer?
Yeah, if that's the option is to defer, that way it gives Melissa time to redefine. I mean, there's some excellent questions you guys brought up that I think they can work to incorporate it. So a deferment, and it's kind of early in the game, you know. Sorry, I don't want to say game when I talk to politicians. So, but early in its genesis, so allowing time to redefine it.
What do you think, Christopher? Because when the bill goes up and it's amending our chapter and we're not gonna provide testimony, what do you think?
So I think the board is gonna provide some testimony, right? I don't think that's a question, but you know, it can be, the testimony can be general, if that, you know, if you're okay, if you're all okay with that. You know, you can say that, you know, the board has reviewed the bill and discussed with you know, discussed it at a board meeting and received, you know, testimony from stakeholders, and you know, the board is you know, I get maybe supportive of the intent of the bill, you know, if you're okay with saying that.
I don't think they can say that because we don't really understand what it's meaning
Okay.
right now.
Okay, well,
In its present form. I mean, we don't really understand it. So
okay. You definitely, you know, like, I think your concern is, right, Candace, I think your concern is that the board is this is gonna go to the hearing, and it concerns, you know, the motor vehicle industry, and if there's no testimony from the board, that is going to be a jarring absence. So there should be some, like I said, there should be testimony submitted on this form of the bill. You know, and noting that the board has considered it and is, you know, talking to stakeholders about it. I'm not sure what other specifics you want to say. But yeah, I don't think not testifying is a good option.
We will have to submit testimony today by 4:30 as soon as the meeting is over, and that's the reason why, you know, I'm asking if it's is the board supports, opposes, or whatever comments that we can include in that testimony. But it is being submitted today because the hearing is scheduled for Thursday.
okay, so the other comments is about the definition of manufacturer, right? Because we only license the manufacturer, and the common entities cannot act as a licensee. So we need that part clarified. Because in other like areas, like if we license the company, any subsidiary or sister company, I mean, they gotta apply for their own license if they want to act as a licensee. So just to clarify that the common entities cannot act as a licensee, because the definition of the manufacturer says, or a common entity who is engaged in the business of manufacturing. So if the common entity is engaged, they need a license. So that's one thing. And then the other thing was about the dealer. It needs to be clarified, right? The franchise, should that be in the franchise law? And the dealer is usually a corporation, so that part needs to be clarified. So those, we can make those comments, and then I'm not sure about if Mr. Caudell has any comments about if he wants clarity on page 60 about the the manufacturer, distributor, or common entity shall not charge back a claim, that portion of it. Or if he's okay with it, then we don't have to submit comments on that.
Chargeback isn't a problem, just the part about it, who's gonna regulate the repair, what you charge per hour, or compare it with other entities like independent repair shop. It's the if that's gonna have, a new regulation, it's gonna go into force and it's gonna be enforced by the DCCA. And we need just clarification on that, or if it just pertains to the agreement between the manufacturer and the dealer, that's fine.
This is Eric Soderholm again, because you're correct in what you're saying is, it says the Director of Commerce and the law, this is the law the way it is right now. It's not being changed. So
That's correct.
it doesn't say that this is a review by the manufacturer and the dealer. It says the DCCA is. That's what it says. So that's plain English, and
What are they trying to accomplish there? Yeah.
that's how I read it from my 1981 UH law school degree. You know? So that to me should be clarified. If the board's gonna recommend something, that we ought to know what to recommend. That's my feedback.
What section is the subparagraph M connected to? Because it looks like it's a section other than 57. It's 56. It's part of 43756. So that and 57 is in a separate section. So maybe section 57 is between the manufacturer and the dealer. And the reimbursement for parts is attached to that subsection where, or paragraph that says that the Director of Commerce and Consumer Affairs shall conduct a review. So I think those are two separate issues, because I didn't realize that the review by the director is not in section 57.
So for the testimony, we can put supports and then with
Comments.
clarifications on, yeah, or comments,
Comments.
clarifications on common entity cannot act as a licensee. That's the major one.
Maybe we can well, and the dealer, and then yeah, I mean those two comments or concerns. Maybe we could write something about we understand that there's going to be clarifications made to the bill. I mean, but that's, you know,
I could just suggest a comment to request clarification that will
yeah.
give us the opportunity to work with the legislature. Thank you for considering it.
So are we good? We're just saying comments.
I think that since it's already a law, it's already in the law, it's really a
Yeah,
non-issue.
yeah,
Yeah.
the one that's not underlined or is quite,
Yes,
that's
yeah.
current, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so is the board okay with that? And then the next, when it makes it to the next hearing, then we'll see a new product probably.
So basically, we are putting in comments, and the main thing is that we're seeking clarification.
Yep.
Okay,
And then we state there are concerns regarding the definition of manufacturer, which includes the common entity. And then we need clarification on the franchise successor. And maybe we can ask if it should go in the franchise law, and then we need clarification on the principal dealer or in that language, because says if the dealer dies, so those things just need to be clarified.
John, does the board have time to weigh in on this bill again? Because you guys' next meeting is the 28th of April. So I mean,
So
how would the board actually weigh in once the bill has been changed?
So either they can call another meeting, or we're gonna add to the agenda the appointment of legislative liaisons, and the board can appoint 2 people, or that's still less than a quorum, right? That Hector can work with on the bill.
we're good.
So you can take a vote on what we just stated above, that's the board's position to submit comments, asking for clarification and stating our concerns regarding the common entity and the definition of manufacturer, and the section regarding transfer of franchise to successor.
And your comments about whether whether it belongs here or in the franchise,
Yeah,
if it's in the right place. I think that's important.
okay. Okay, so if you okay with that position, then you guys can take a vote.
Okay.
John, you want to go ahead and take a vote?
Sure. Is it you or me, Hector? It's me.
It's you, you're the board. Sure.
So as far as what we just discussed, are we all in favor?
Somebody has to make a motion.
Can we have a motion, Wayno?
Motion made. Gonna need a second.
I will second.
Is that
Carl Williams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carl? Okay. Motion made by Wayne DeLuz, seconded by Carl. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4 ayes.
You gonna vote, John?
Yeah, I did. I said aye.
Okay.
Are you folks gonna appoint 2 people to be the liaison? My suggestion is Melissa being one of them.
Oh, she's not on the board though.
Oh, you have to be somebody on the board?
Yeah.
Okay.
So can we get a vote to amend the agenda, and you're gonna add the appointment of legislative liaison?
So a vote can be casted on just what Candice said.
Can we get a motion to amend the
Is there a
agenda?
motion?
Motion made. Motion
Seconded
to add agenda.
by, anybody want a second?
I'm sorry, that was John. Yeah.
John Cadell.
Oh, John Codell. Motion passed. Motion held by Wayne, seconded by John Codell.
Okay, so who's gonna be your legislative liaison?
should it be one industry and one non-industry? Or
Yeah, that would be good.
I think so. Wait, no, are you volunteering? No.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
the
I'm
only-
answering for him.
So the only problem is if they require, yeah, Ken, is if they require testimony, I'm across the water.
Oh, that's fine because you're like a resource person for Hector. So and plus they do virtual testimony now too if you know.
Oh, no, that's fine. I'll volunteer.
Okay. So public would be Carlton?
You're the only one.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be somebody who's not here?
Yeah, that's usually how it works, but
I'm happy to do it.
Okay. Two appointees, one Wayne DeLuz and Carlton Williams, as far as the two one industry and one non-industry. All
okay.
in, do we have to vote on that? Are we okay?
That's an appointment.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, good.
That was easy.
Are we still with you, Hector?
The next one is going to be with you, the applications.
So normally, do we go into executive session on this?
Yes. So again, somebody has to make a motion to go to executive session.
Yeah, I move we go into executive session.
Second then.
Carlton made a motion. John Cordell made the second.
Okay. So now we can get into executive session. Our executive session has, okay, hold on.
Sorry. I have one too. So, I'll take a Ricola.
Oh, they both are cola,
Oh, are
yes.
they? Oh, I haven't tried this one.
But one has a juice.
Oh, I'm sorry.
One has juice. The other one don't have juice.
Thank you.
Nice talking to you.
Okay.
So we're gonna wait for everybody else to come in there, yeah?
Are we back, Hector?
Good.
Everybody in. But then waiting for. Christopher. Yes.
John, we're good. Yeah, we're good.
Yes.
Yeah, we're good, John. We're back.
Okay, so, do we, with our guests, any testimony that you would like to provide? Maybe you can list your name and the company.
Thank you, Chair. We do not have anyone requesting to provide testimony.
I know that, nobody present back there from, LA West or AutoZilla? No?
LA West,
Go ahead, Mark.
Eric.
I'm sorry, Eric. Sorry, I missed-
It's okay. It's okay. It's always the holy names. I'm Eric Soderholm, Vice President of Soderholm Sales and Leasing. And I'm just here to answer any questions that we have. We put the package together for you folks for the board, and I think it's gone through, Hector. We had a letter in the thing where we had 3 people from Soderholm Sales Leasing listed to speak. My wife, Denise, who's the president, and she broke her foot. And then my daughter, Gabby, she went skiing on holiday in Oregon. And my administrative assistant, Jessica, just had another baby. She's on maternity leave. So you're all I got. So if you guys have any questions, otherwise, we appreciate you guys' review, and we're just available to answer any questions.
I personally don't. Does anybody have any questions that they might want to ask? So I can ask some from LA West. Do you have any comments that you would want to bring up?
Well, that's me, LA West.
The next one is AutoZilla.
Sorry, Eric. God, AutoZilla. Sorry. From AutoZilla.
You have any comments, questions?
So I'm here for just adding a new location on Britannia and South Britannia, 1450 South Britannia. We had the lease since June, and we're just waiting for the board review and approval. Hopefully everything is good. I came in about I think 2 weeks ago, and they told me everything looks good. So I'm hoping that we can earn our license today for the new location.
Okay, very good. Hector, should I turn it back to you?
John, I have one question.
Sure.
So is the procedure now that Hector and his staff basically go through the applications for like distributor or manufacturer? And is it once they're power with it, is it approved? I know the board has to ratify it, but I think in the past, it was basically kind of approved. Is that still the same way, or does it have to be, what is the ratification? Is the ratification an approval?
If the board approves today, then your approval will be good as of today.
Okay, so it's not approved until the board
Yes, they will just, they will vote,
Okay,
the next hour or so, and then they will, yeah. If they say
Okay.
yes, then you're good.
okay. And are we allowed to hear you guys vote or?
Yes,
Okay,
it's a public.
okay.
Okay,
Okay, and we don't have anybody else outside yet. Yeah. That's it. That's the only testimonies we have.
There's one that's number 7.
Oh, no, that's for, correspondence.
Oh, I'm sorry.
so are we going to the process of ratification now?
So I guess you can vote.
So,
You do them section by section or?
Yeah, needs to be a safe side. So John, you can ask for a motion for the motor vehicle sales people. And then second.
is there a motion on motor vehicle licensing salesperson?
Yeah, I'll move for the two, number 1 and number 2 that are listed. Second.
Moved by Colton, seconded by John. Motion passed.
Oh, did you guys vote?
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
yeah,
then you haven't voted yet.
yeah. Can we have a vote, please? Colton,
yeah, aye.
John,
Aye.
Wayne,
Aye.
and myself, aye. Motion passed. The next section would be, Victor,
The next section will be the motor vehicle dealers and again, motion for,
I'll move for the approval of the 5 that are listed, 1 through 5. Second.
so John, the Carlton motion, John Codell, second.
okay? Can we have a vote, please?
Aye.
Colton,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Bueno,
Aye.
and myself, aye. Motion passed. Congratulations.
The next one is the motor vehicle brands. We need a motion for AutoZilla. Motion and second.
I move for the approval of Zilla, the one listed under that section. Second.
So John Carlton motion, John Codell seconded.
Can we vote, please? Bueno,
Aye.
Colton, John,
Aye.
and myself, aye. Motion passed.
Thank you. The next one is the manufacturer, LA West.
And I'll move for the approval of LA West as manufacturer. Second.
Hey, John Carlton motion. Carlton motion and John Codell seconded.
Okay, very good. Motion passed. Congratulations on that part.
Thank you very much.
Now we'll go to ratifications of the salespersons. This is a transfers list. I know Wayne mentioned earlier that, well, Wayne, go ahead and make your correction. To the
Correction.
transfers list.
Hawaii County, the applicant Kanashiro, it needs to be moved to the city and county of Honolulu. The dealer is located in the city and county of Honolulu, not Hawaii County.
Okay, noted. You guys have any questions on those? Otherwise, John will ask for a motion and second.
Bueno, motion on,
Motion to ratify the transfers, consumer consultant, motor vehicle dealers.
second.
Second.
So
John
motion,
Codell, second.
John Codell, second. Motion passed. Are we moving to the, is that everything, Hector?
Yes, Nick, we can go to.
Unfinished?
We can move on to the unfinished business. This is actually something that the board covered way back in July, I believe, July. Part of it were answered. The problem was that they were answered after 4:30. And the board only meets till 4:30, so we have to make sure that it's done again. And that's the reason why it's there, to make sure that it's done properly. The first question was that the motor vehicle salesperson license clarification. This was a case where a lady had a question whether she's required for a sales BDC representative. She said her duties is limited to whatever she mentioned there. And she did not want to pay the salesperson charge that she was, well, when she applied for salesperson, of course, we have to charge them for that. And she said she should not be charged because her duties were limited. It's not the same as the salesperson.
Are BDC reps usually licensed?
By law, we have to. Oh, the board decided that what they do is similar to what the salesperson does, and unless the board has a different decision today, but that's how it answered last time. And again, it was answered except that it was done after the time we were allotted.
I don't remember that one for some reason. Yeah, it sounds like to me, they should have a license. They're selling cars, just like part of the sale.
Yeah, John is correct. It still involves sales. Maybe not every step as a salesperson, but my basic belief has always been it is better to license so that you have some jurisdiction on the activity.
And what do you think on the public side, since you're the public member?
Well, she says that she's basically a receptionist, responding to customer inquiries, answering phone calls and setting appointments. Doesn't sound like sales to me.
They answer questions about vehicles too.
Okay,
You know,
is that, I kind of rely on you folks
you have the
to,
potential to lie.
is that what it's all about? Is that,
You know,
Well, but
me
John,
looking at it is if it's just a receptionist who's just referring it to a salesperson, I don't think the person I don't think the person should be licensed.
That's different, yeah.
Yeah, if it's just reception, just refer, and that's what my receptionist does. And I've never heard of anybody, John, in your dealerships, are your receptionists licensed?
No.
Yeah, yeah. But if the person is part of the sales team, you know, and they're screening it and they're going through it, then yes, but I don't think.
Eric, clarification, BDC people get paid commissions to
Oh,
refer people to
Okay.
salespeople. It's controlled by the desk. They do
Okay.
take confidential information. They do get the person's name,
okay,
first and last. They do get a phone number of contact and sometimes email address. So I don't want them to get away with, oh, I just answered the phone. No, you're a BDC, right? Business Development Coordinator.
yeah.
So they do take confidential information from the customer.
And you guys, car dealers do that a lot. They have these guys going out there who are basically doing online leads and things like that and doing that. So I can understand that.
Correct.
So is that the board position then that this BDC is considered a salesperson?
So is that stated in her job description that she provided?
Can I add something? So
No,
I think the new BDC, I think for a lot of dealership groups, they centralize the phone call, especially the sales calls, to be answered by representative, where they're able to go to the website and check on the vehicle that the customer is inquiring about and answer basic questions about it and set up the appointment for it. So to me, it's more like instead of the salesperson gets the call while he's helping another customer on the lot, those are basically support to the sales team. They're not the regular basic receptionist that used to be at the dealership, and they just forward the call to the salesperson. They answer all the calls to the salesperson to facilitate the appointment and make the appointment. So I think they, in my opinion, they are salespeople, but phone salespeople, like more like selling something on the phone, but you're not physically on the store.
He was a manager at Lexus before too.
I mean, I have, I think that's a move that a lot of companies in the mainland, they recommend to somebody like myself, that because the salespeople are always involved and engaged, and if you have a sales call transferred to their phone, you could be in a position where they can't really answer the customer questions. They're not near a phone or anything, they transfer to their mobile. So to avoid that, all that together, to have it a professionalism, they have a small center where they have 4 or 5 DBC system representative answer the calls and set up the appointment. So I would say, to me, it's more like a salesperson.
So getting back to what Candace was saying, basically, every description of a BDC can be very broad. And if it's specifically specified in the job description, like what Wayno was saying, then, they should get a sales license, because they go through the whole process of, setting up a deal as well as processing some of the paperwork. Whereas, they can be a glorified receptionist in which they don't do any of that so much, but, maybe set an appointment, right?
Well, I think though, the clarification, John, I don't know how do you guys do it, but our BDC people get compensated for providing these leads to the sales team as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct on my end too. I mean, that's what I do, on the appointment set in the show, right?
Right, correct. Just so the people realize that it's a lot more than just being a receptionist per se. Yeah. It's not taking a message, it's taking a lead.
Yeah.
Yeah. In our business, you're taking confidential information. But more as a rule of thumb, just like I said, it's better to have them licensed so you have some jurisdiction over their actions. Yeah. They should be held at the same standard. Same reason why we license finance managers.
Okay, so the board's position for BDC is that they should be licensed salesperson.
My vote is yes.
Mine too.
Chris, do we vote on this?
Yes. Yeah, in order to have a board response.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so is there a motion
I
to,
move to license BDC personnel. Well, in this role, yeah, sales BDC representative.
Second.
John Codell's second.
Wayne Delu's motion? John Cadell seconded, motion pass.
The second one was a motor vehicle manufacturer and distributor licensing. The correspondence was seeking clarification. on whether a manufacturer or a distributor license is required if an entity is an out-of-state manufacturer with no physical location in Hawaii, but will sell vehicles to a licensed dealer in Hawaii. Is a manufacturer license required?
Yes.
I agree with that.
I can't think of why it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
I think that's basic HRS 437. That's the basis of HRS 437 is that the manufacturers to be licensed. It has nothing to do where they're located.
Thank you, Alex.
Would the manufacturer also need a distributor license if there is no separate entity to use a distributor?
No.
They can be one or the other, right? They don't have to be both.
Yeah. You have to have a dealer basically. So you can either be a manufacturer or a distributor.
I agree with that.
So
Okay.
John Codell agreed, said no.
Yep.
Did you wanna vote on these, John, one at a time?
You want to go one by one or else do it at
Let's
the
put 'em
end
all
after
at
we
once.
discuss
Yeah,
the
let's do
four?
number 3 first. 3I. Is a distributor agreement required if the manufacturer and distributor are the same entity?
No,
No. Just a manufacturer.
John Codell said no. John?
I say no.
no.
Carlton said no as well.
I just wanted clarification because why would they have a distributor agreement? I'm not sure. Is there a specific incident, Hector, that you came across this question?
No.
No? Okay.
I guess some manufacturers don't want to be licensed in Hawaii.
Yeah, I agree with the board. No.
The last one was, does Hawaii manufacturer, distributor licenses include licensing for low-speed vehicles if the vehicles will be allowed to be used on public roads and can have speed up to 25 miles per hour? John Codell said yes. Carlton?
Yes.
Carlton said yes.
Okay. I say yes too, majority.
Guess my vote doesn't count.
Wait.
Wait,
Yes, okay, yes, I wanna say yes.
sorry, I butted in, man, you know?
Motion carried.
I think there might be a distinction between an off-road vehicle and an on-road low-speed vehicle. Because I don't think you have to get an on-road, off-road vehicle like a Caterpillar. They can drive legally on the road, during construction projects and stuff like that. But if the vehicle is designed to be low speed and be on-road, then it's a licensed motor vehicle, in my opinion.
Okay. So for number 2, motor vehicle manufacturer and distributor licensing, the board agreed for I, yes. I is no. I is no. And number 4 is yes. Is that the board's position?
Yes.
Yes,
John, you want to make the vote?
sure. Do we have a motion in order for what just Hector said, the yes, no, oh, yes?
Motion.
John Codell made the motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Carlton made the second.
Can we have a vote, please? John, oh, it's already done, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we
John,
have to vote.
John, Cordell?
Jan Cordell said yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Colton?
Aye.
Marvin said yes.
Wayne?
Yes.
I say yes. Motion passed.
The next section is the delegation. Part of some of the salesperson, when they answer yes to question about conviction, we normally refer them to the board. If they don't answer yes to any of the question, their application is basically approved without the board's approval, and that's why we don't list them here. But if they answer yes, then the board has to approve it, looking at their documents that they submitted. And most of the time, the applicant has to do with DUI. So the delegation here is if a salesperson answered yes, have you been convicted? And for DUI purposes, is the board okay with the executive officer reviewing it without going to the board? That's for DUI.
As long as you guys aren't too hardcore.
Yeah, Hector, clarification, HRS section 436B-8. Is there a stipulation in that section? I couldn't find it, but is it within 2 convictions in 5 years? Is there any stipulation? Like they can't have, unlimited convictions or anything like that.
Isn't it 10 years?
Okay, so I think what Wayne is talking about is the board's own delegation policy. Like if they have, I don't think it's in 436B. So the board can set criteria. So if it's less than 2 convictions in whatever time frame, 5 years, then it's okay for the EO to approve. And then you can set the, conditions on what the EO can approve. So 1 conviction, or 2 convictions within 5 years, or if there's more than X amount of convictions within X amount of years, then the board wants to see it. So you can set those parameters.
If their license is suspended and they can't drive, we won't hire them, our dealership, because they can't be insured.
Our recommendation would be no more than 2 in 5 years.
So if they have 2 or less within 5 years, then the EO can approve it.
That is correct.
And again, this is only for the DUI, so everything else goes to the board.
What is it we're concerned about in their job from having DUI? Well, what's the connection?
They gotta be able to drive at our place.
Yeah, okay. So
And a lot of
so
times they
the
can't for a
concern
long
is,
time.
yeah, well, if they lose their license,
Yeah.
but having a DUI, I had an employee. I mean, it happens, right?
Yeah,
The concern is that they may during work be in a condition, is that what the concern is, or?
I'm not sure.
Guarding against.
No, I
Right.
think, Carlton, in the past, it was to give the executive officer, just so it would speed up the process primarily. That's
Yeah.
That's it. The executive officer doesn't have to go through all the background checks and stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
because they're forced to check that because it is a conviction, felony conviction, yeah. So
Yeah.
that was my understanding.
no, I'm good with it. I'm Wayne, I'm good with your suggestion of the 2 and 5, so.
Thank you.
Do you have any comment on that, Chris?
Me, no. Like Candace was saying, these are things that the board, can set. So that there's no, so that in very specific conditions, so that the executive officer does not have any discretion, right? Because only the board has the discretion to consider things. So as long as it's specific and the executive officer can carry it out, that's fine.
Okay, yeah, I am with you on this, so. Do I make a motion on this?
Oh, one more question. Chris, we don't
Oh,
have to
sure.
change the administrative rules? No, okay.
No.
It's a policy and not a rule.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, good.
Wayne, you want to make a motion on this?
I make a motion that to delegate the responsibility to the executive officer or chairperson to approve motor vehicle salesperson's applications with, with DUI convictions that do not exceed 2 and 5 years. Sorry, I spoke a little fast. Sorry. Is that okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Do we have a second? I
Second,
second. Okay, John, a motion by Wayne, John Caudell, seconded, passed.
The next one was, we were supposed to have the election of the officer way back in July. And normally it's done every year. The next session, legislative session will end June 30 of this year. So after that, we will have another election, but go ahead. We do need election of chair and the vice chair for the board.
I move we keep them the same.
We don't have a vice president, a vice chair right now. So you guys can make the motion or recommend someone for could be the current chair. And then somebody can nominate for the vice chair.
Wayne would be better. With more experience.
Yeah.
So if you would, again, if you want to keep the current chair and want to nominate the vice chair, somebody has to make that motion.
I think John Uekawa continues as the chair and Wayne as the vice chair.
So you're making the motion?
Second,
Okay.
We agree.
I was looking for a reaction, but
I was about to, you didn't give me a chance. I wanted, so motion passed. Second, Colton. Motion passed by Colton, and seconded by John Caudell.
Wayne, are you okay with that? The motion that they made a motion to nominate you as that vice chair.
Yes, thank you.
you're welcome.
Well, I mean, well, I don't wanna, I'll, that's okay. We're good? All right.
We don't need your vote.
I never count anyway, right?
The next one was deferred from the October meeting. As you recall, we went through, I think we ended about 4:20, but then a member has to leave, but we did not have the quorum, so that's why it ended. So number 7.
The connector, I think you can't do that one because they don't have the documents in front of them.
Oh,
I didn't see it in the packet.
no, it wasn't in the packet.
That's the one that had the specs for each one of those items that were listed from A to F.
Okay, what was the board's decision, Hector, before last time? What did the board decide, but it's not official?
no, they did not vote on this
They never
one.
voted.
Not on number 7. Not on number 7. There was no vote on that.
But isn't it just if it's off-road and it's not an on-road vehicle, then it's not under the purview of HRS 437? You don't have to look at the specifications as long as it's off-road. Couldn't you just say that it's not a licensed motor vehicle?
So the agenda item is not in front of the board, so they should defer it until they get to review the materials that were submitted by the inquirer.
Move to defer.
Someone second, motion to defer to next meeting by John Codell, I second.
What's the time of the next meeting? You can always at 1 o'clock?
The next meeting is normally at 1 o'clock, yes.
Okay. It used to be at 9 o'clock. That's what I thought. That got me screwed up today. Okay, so 1 o'clock, okay, happy to.
You bring us donuts, Eric?
Huh?
You bring donuts today?
Yeah, I brought donuts at 9 o'clock. And then you guys weren't here, so I ate them.
Right.
Yeah, thank you very much, you guys.
Well, since that is being deferred, John, you wanna put in the next one?
Yep. I thought is there a motion to defer?
Yeah,
We did do that, right? Okay. John Codell, anybody second?
Second,
Carlton second.
Okay, okay.
Get a call for the question.
Are we at
Yeah.
number 8 or?
You're number
go
8.
for-
So we announcing that actually April 22nd is 2025 is our next meeting. And are you gonna adjourn this or am I, Hector?
You can adjourn it.
Okay, hold on.
I'm
Board,
sorry, Chris.
you have somebody who wants to speak.
Oh. Really?
I believe that is the Candice, I believe this is the
Hello.
one. Yeah, she is the one for the number 7 that is being deferred.
I just had a question because we're not necessarily asking for each specification to be approved. My question was, if the vehicle is for off-road, do we have to have a license? And we sent the specifications as a follow-up in case the board wanted to view the items that we intend to sell. But the basis of our inquiry was, if it was an off-road, did it have to have a license? Because the statute, it doesn't specifically say that. It just defines a vehicle as any vehicle that operates on a highway. So we basically inferred that if it doesn't operate on a highway, it's not defined as a vehicle, but there's nothing that explicitly said that, which is why we asked the question of the board.
So the board previously discussed a similar inquiry, but I would need to look at the board meeting minutes to see what the board, it wasn't a flat out, if it's off-road, then a license is not required, from what I recall.
And I think our inquiry was misstated on the agenda because that was our question. And we offered the specifications for additional information if the board wanted to review the specifications.
See, I go back to what I said before, was that it's irrelevant to specifications because so reviewing the specifications doesn't mean anything. If the vehicle is off-road, that's the question. I think the board may need to refer and look at closer, but in my opinion, that if it's off-road, it's not an on-highway vehicle, and that's what HRS 437 says. It's for on-highway vehicles, and so if it's off-highway, I would say it's just doesn't need a license. But you guys are the experts, so.
Is that a question that can be answered as number 7 instead of deferring? Because we've been asking the question since August, and we're just trying to plan for what products we would like to have. So the business has been asking since August, but I know we had to wait for the October meeting, and then it didn't get addressed because it ran out of time. So now we're on this meeting, And I'm just asking if this question could be officially answered, regardless of the specifications.
It's not on the agenda, and we wouldn't have a chance to discuss it in an executive session.
It should be number 7.
I have a question. Can any of these machines, is it possible to be licensed for on-road use, or is that not allowed?
They're not supposed to, but
They ride them on the road.
I know they ride them on the road.
Sidewalk everywhere.
Right. But I mean,
they're like
could you get a
golf carts.
license for any of these? If you
In
wanted to.
90cc, you could. But if it's not built for on-road use.
These vehicles don't meet federal motor vehicle safety standards.
Yeah.
But
You know what? I'm sorry. I'm trying to look for the board's prior meeting minutes because their decision should be consistent with their prior meeting, prior determinations, and I haven't found it yet. Sorry.
I appreciate you for allowing me to speak. I just wanted to make that clear because I didn't want our question to be misconstrued from the correspondence that we were only seeking for the board to review the specifications. Our question was more of a broad question as far as what you all were just discussing about off-road, on-road, and, you know, is there a certain description in the product description that has to say off-road? Like, that's where we're kind of getting hung up. Like, if it's a electric golf cart, you know, and it only goes 15 miles per hour, I mean, we would consider that to be off-road, but I don't know if the board has already ruled on golf carts before. We're only just going off of what we could find in the statute, and it wasn't a lot of information on those type of vehicles.
So Hector, you know, basically at this point, I think we need to get a little bit more information in order for us to actually address this. I mean, this is, I'm not an off-road guy and I'm not a motorcycle. I mean, you know, I don't know what more we need. I don't know if we can clarify that answer to the question. And so, I just, that's my opinion.
Erica, will you be able to, I mean, if it's okay, we will be tabling this off till the next board's meeting, which is scheduled in April.
John, maybe you guys could go to the Deputy Attorney General and ask for their opinion on HR's 437. Does it pertain to off-road vehicles? Because I think it's more of a legal question, not a specification question.
You know, I think, Eric, I think you're correct on that part, because I wouldn't want to answer it right now. You know what I'm saying, right? Just based
Yes.
on, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Like you
because I
said.
think at the previous meeting, the board did look at the Department of Transportation statutes because your statute referenced other department statutes, and so they really looked at all the other statutes and came to a determination. So I think they need to look at that again. Or, you know, have it in front of them before they make a determination.
Yeah, just a little bit more informed.
Okay, we'll be tabling off this for the next board meeting, if that's okay with the board members.
I think she has something to say.
Chair,
Erica?
Erica has another question.
Okay, so are you clarifying your inquiry?
Well, I think I tried to, that's what I was doing, was clarifying the inquiry. I think you guys understand the question. My question was, you said to defer to the Deputy General. Is that something that our office can reach out to, or is that we have to wait until the board talks to them? And then my second question was, is the minutes for the previous meeting, are they public?
They should be. Sometimes we're behind on posting, so I don't know if they've been posted, but I
but
know that
Erica,
they've been approved.
yeah, but Erica, this one, the minutes that Candace is talking about, I believe there was sometimes last year, so we have to look at that. It was something that the board has decided before, I believe, way back in the beginning of 2024, I believe so. So it's not as recent as, let's say, a couple of months.
Okay, and then the deputy general, is that something that is open to public to where we can contact them, or do they only contact the board on these type of questions?
Decision's still gonna refer back to us, right?
Yeah, the final decision will be from the board's point of view anyway. So reaching out would not help you because the board is the one that finally has the final say because it is with the MVI.
Okay.
Okay,
Is there any other information you need from us? Do I need to resend anything or to make sure that you have everything you need for the next meeting?
sure, Erica, yeah, go ahead and email yours again, updated question to the MVI. And we'll use that for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
The same email that you had emailed the previous question.
Photos of the vehicles would be good.
Is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So Hector, do you adjourn this meeting or do I?
Chair.
At this time, we are adjourned at 3:28.
Thank you very much.
See you guys in April. Aloha.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.